Hello and welcome to Informavores. In the headlines, Democratic senators agree to drop the public option in hopes of getting the 60 votes required to pass the health care reform bill. Senator Harry Reid said in a press conference yesterday the group won't even tell fellow Democrats most of the details until the Congressional Budget Office can tell them how much the new plan will cost. It snowed a little bit, causing all three major state universities to close today after a blizzard left most of Iowa, along with other parts of the Midwest, frozen. The blizzard was the first time in history the entire state was under a blizzard warning. And with extremely strong winds, travel is still not advised on most state highways. Senator Tom Harkin acquired $9 million for what he calls vital education and healthcare initiatives across central Iowa. According to Harkin, $2.15 million will go to collaborative research projects between Iowa State and the University of Iowa. Coming up on Informavores, President Obama holds a bipartisan meeting at the White House to discuss the economy. A third political party is forming that actually might matter. Iowa battles to remain the first caucus state in the upcoming election, and a court pays $150 a day to put makeup on a Nazi. This and much, much more coming up on Informavores. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Informavores. I'm here with Ryan Jones and Marcus Ribbentrop, and then my name is Alex Schumann. If you would like to join the conversation with us, just go ahead and hop on Facebook or Twitter and search Informavores, or you can email us at informavores11@yahoo.com. Our first topic today, President Obama had a bipartisan meeting over at the White House to discuss job creation, and he had several Republicans. Iowa's own Chuck Grassley was there. Now, we're going to play you part of the speech here, and then we'll go into the questions.
To support these efforts, we're going to wind down the Troubled Asset Relief Program, what's known as TARP, the emergency fund created to stabilize the banking system. This program has served its original purpose, and the cost has been much lower than we expected, giving us a chance to pay down the deficit faster than we thought at the time, and also allowing us to invest in job creation on Main Street rather than on Wall Street. More will need to be done to put our nation on a firm fiscal footing, and I'm looking forward to working with the group of leaders that I just met today about how we can structure a plausible scenario to get to medium and long-term deficit reduction.
All right, so that was the president, and he is talking about ending the TARP program. However, he also in that speech was talking about spending more money. So it's kind of rather a contradiction, but essentially what his plan is to spend more money and to create more jobs. So do you think, based on how the stimulus is done so far, that spending more is going to actually assist in job creation and improving the economy?
No, I really don't. I think the economy is still sliding, but it is not sliding as severely, and it's starting to get back on track. We're starting to get a little bit of footing, and a lot of reports from early reports from analysts, there we go, are saying that the job loss should stabilize and stop around January or February, and we could see early signs of growth by March, June, and July. So I don't really think that spending more money is really necessary at this point. They passed all that TARP money, and they didn't use all of it. So why are we gonna make like another program?
I agree with this. Obama was talking about paying down the debt, but then he also talks about using the money we didn't use in TARP for more money to be spent. I don't know how he plans on using the money for both going down on the debt and paying $200 billion for more job creation.
No, it really makes no sense, because here he is, and that just talking about we need to cut the deficit, and this is a prime opportunity to do that, because we've gotten a lot of the money that we gave, 90% of what we gave in bailouts has come back to the government, and so it's doing the actual project did very well in terms of its own personal success. I mean, if you disagree with it ideologically, you disagree, but I just think it's such an odd choice, and it's going to be $200 billion more that he's going to spend on stuff, and one of the programs is Cash for Caulkers, and what he's trying to do is you can get up to $12,000 per home for insulation and then other things that just kind of reduce energy but help your home costs. Are you completely against that as well?
Well, it's not just free money, it's half. So you can spend, they'll give you half of what you pay up to $12,000. So that means you could pay $24,000 to winterize or energy efficient, make your home more energy efficient, and they would pay you back half. I'm going to go ahead and say I don't like that. I mean, it's like cash for clunkers. They thought this was going to be a heralded huge deal, and it didn't work. It didn't work at all.
Well, do you think it's going to create jobs? Because that's what I have a problem with it. He sold it as this is a jobs program. It's going to help contribute, and I don't really foresee that. I don't buy that. I think if you were planning on winterizing your home and you were debating it because you were a little strapped for cash, then you'll do it. But does that mean the companies that are going to be winterizing your home are going to add on a bunch of new people?
Well, and with programs like this in this kind of short term, I mean, it's going to, if it creates jobs, if it does, it will be short term jobs and not long term jobs. Jobs will be created solely until this program
a job
runs.
is a job.
I don't agree with that. I think
I'm just saying that's their argument. Because I disagree with this because I don't think
I disagree entirely. I think that too much of this government and too much of our nation is focusing on the short term. And if this does create short-term jobs, and I'm sure it will, but what happens when that runs out? Then those people that were unemployed are unemployed yet again.
And then the government makes a new program to create more short-term jobs.
He mentioned in his speech, the clip we played, that he wanted to focus on medium-length and long-term growth. Well, then give me something substantive to show that. Stop with these short-term programs like TARP and Cash for Clunkers, Cash for Cockers, whatever. Give me something long-term to encourage long-term growth.
Yeah, Republicans had see if you guys like this idea a little bit more. Republicans had a suggestion that they would freeze all spending, but also freeze all taxes. In terms of, there would be no more tax hikes, nothing like that. You would freeze all of it right now, and you would try to reduce spending where you could. So it's mainly just a promise to a lot of employers who are afraid, because I think what's going on, I think this is a legitimate thing to do. It sounds a little dumb because you're like, well, you're not giving tax breaks. What are you doing? But with all of these new policies like health care and some kind of environmental thing will probably be passed. I don't know if it'll be as severe as cap and trade. But with these things coming up, the government has to pay for them. And I think there's a lot of businesses out there that aren't hiring anything because they're looking into the future. I mean, they're business owners. They're not idiots. And they're looking out into the future and they're like, I'm going to be paying a lot in taxes. Why should I hire someone when I should be saving up money for when this gets ridiculous?
Absolutely. I think that's a great argument. And not only if all these tax hikes were to happen, it's if something like this, slide in the economy happens again. I mean, people don't own businesses typically for a short amount of time. They're usually going to be long-term or lifelong choices, And you can't, if you're going to do that and it's your own personal money, you're going to look, 20, 30 years down the road and say, well, they're not really fixing the root of this problem and it may happen again. So they're going to hedge against another loss 20 years down the road by not hiring people.
I would agree with that. Ryan, do you have anything else to toss in?
No, I don't. I think the topic's covered pretty well.
All right, good. We're going to move on to our next topic, and this also has to do with the White House, so we're going to kind of stay near what we were talking about. White House Press Secretary Robert Gibbs is having some issues.
That's an understatement.
He cannot. He is really insulting people, but what happened recently, just yesterday is when it actually happened, is Gibbs fired off because for the first time the Obama administration went down to a 47% approval rating. Excuse me.
In the Gallup poll.
In the Gallup poll, yes. And a reporter asked him about it, and because it's only been a day, and Gibbs's response was to say that essentially what it was why would I pay attention to that? That's something politicians do, and I'm not going to give any attention to these daily changes because from the looks of it, it looks like something a 6-year-old could do with a crayon.
Yeah. He compared it to a 6-year-old with a crayon and an EKG machine with its rapid fluctuations.
Yes.
He's the press secretary. Shouldn't he be paying attention to the polls?
Exactly.
That's exactly right. I mean,
why does he not think he should be paying attention to these? He is a politician.
That's not my main problem with this. I mean, the fact is that they don't want to accept that people have daily changes in, politics. People